Welcome back to Chapter by Chapter Classics, the short-form classic literature podcast where each episode walks you through a few chapters of a great book. We're continuing our walk through Frankenstein, using both the 1818 original and the 1831 revised editions. Previously in Frankenstein, Victor described his privileged childhood in Geneva, his close bond with Elizabeth and Henry, and the strange scientific books and new university studies that pushed his curiosity towards something dangerously ambitious. Today, we're covering chapters 5 through 8 in each text. This is where Victor finally brings the creature to life, flees in horror, and then returns home to face William's death and Justine's trial. The basic storyline matches in both versions, but they treat the creature's early crimes quite differently, sometimes making him seem confused and tragic, and sometimes more deliberately vengeful. We'll point out those differences so you can tell what your edition is doing.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into the heart of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, specifically chapters 5 through 8.
This is really where the story pivots.
It absolutely does. We're going to track Victor from, the moment of his greatest scientific triumph, which is, of course, also the moment of his most profound failure.
Right. And from there, it's a straight line to the first great tragedy that shatters his family and really his entire world.
And as we dig in, we have to look at both the 1818 and the 1831 editions of the text.
That's so crucial because the changes Shelley made aren't just cosmetic, they fundamentally alter the creature's motivations.
So we see him shift from, a figure of confused malice to something much more deliberate.
Exactly. To a creature of calculated, conscious vengeance. And understanding that difference is, it's key to grasping the weight of everything that happens here.
Okay, so the core theme we're tracing is how Victor's sin of creation is almost immediately overshadowed by his sin of abandonment.
And silence. The abandonment and the silence, that's what drives the tragedy.
All right, let's unpack this. We're starting in chapter 5. Victor has been locked away for months, completely consumed.
Yeah, Shelley really paints a picture of obsession here. He's driven by this unremitting ardor. He's grown pale with study, emaciated with confinement.
He's a wreck.
A total wreck. He sacrificed everything. His health, his friends, his connection to the world, all for this one single frantic impulse to animate lifeless matter.
And then it works.
Yeah.
The spark of life hits, the creature's eye opens. And Victor's reaction isn't joy or pride, it's
immediate, gut-wrenching horror. He'd imagined this beautiful new species, and instead he gets this wretch. The yellow skin, the watery eyes, the straight black lips. It's a grotesque parody of a human.
But the real moment, the one that changes everything, isn't the ugliness, is it? It's what happens next.
Right. The creature stirs, it stretches out a hand. And you can read that gesture in so many ways. Is it reaching for its father? Is it just a newborn's reflex?
We don't know. But Victor sees a monster.
He sees a monster, and he runs. He just flees his apartment, runs out into this dismal and wet morning, terrified that the thing he made is still in there.
Why, though? Why the instant, total psychological collapse? Is it just that the creature is ugly?
I think it's more than that. It's the sudden, crushing weight of consequence. He played God, but he has absolutely no desire to be a parent. He brought this thing into the world, and in that instant, he realizes he has no idea what to do with it, and he wants nothing to do with it.
So abandonment is his first and only instinct.
Immediate and absolute. And just as his psyche is shattering, who shows up?
His best friend, Henry Clerval, arriving on the morning coach. Talk about timing.
It's like this moment of false salvation. Victor sees him and is filled with this calm and serene joy. He literally uses his friend as a shield to forget about the monster he just left upstairs.
But the relief is manic, isn't it? When he gets back to his rooms and sees the creature is gone, he doesn't just relax.
No, he goes wild. He starts laughing, jumping over chairs, clapping his hands. Clerval is just terrified. He sees Victor's wild eyes, hears this heartless laughter, and he knows something is deeply, deeply wrong.
And that's what triggers the fever.
That's the trigger. A severe nervous fever that basically knocks him out for the entire winter. His body is physically manifesting his moral and psychological collapse.
And the only reason he survives is because Henry stays and nurses him.
Yep. Victor has successfully outsourced his own well-being to his friend, while his actual creation is, who knows where, wandering the world completely alone.
Which brings us to chapter 6, and Victor's long, slow recovery.
Aided solely by Henry, yeah. And while he's recovering, he gets a letter from Elizabeth.
Right. And she's obviously been worried sick.
Yeah.
his long silence, his poor health. It's all a mystery to his family. She's just trying to fill him in on life back home, talking about his younger brother, Ernest.
It's Shelley's way of reminding us, and Victor, of the normal human world he's completely cut himself off from. And Victor even admits it. He says his selfish pursuit had cramped and narrowed him.
He needed Henry to pull him back.
He did. Henry called forth the better feelings and taught me to love the aspect of nature again. It's very romantic, finding healing and friendship in the natural world away from that dangerous, isolated ambition.
But the trauma is still there, under the surface. This is where the 1831 edition adds that really telling detail.
Oh, it's fascinating. He's so psychologically damaged that just seeing a chemical instrument would renew all the agony of my nerving symptoms.
So he can't even look at his lab equipment.
Not at all. Henry has to physically remove all of it, change the room around. It's a classic psychosomatic response. The tools of his creation are now symbols of his immense guilt and horror.
He's rejected his creation, and now he's rejecting the science itself.
Completely. But, by May, he's feeling better. He and Henry go on this walking tour around Ingolstadt. It's this brief moment of peace, calm before the storm.
Literally a storm.
Right.
Because that peace gets shattered in Chapter 7.
With shocking speed. He gets a letter from his father. His youngest, most beloved brother, William, has been murdered.
And that journey home is just chilling. He gets close to Geneva. It's night. There's a huge thunderstorm.
The perfect Gothic setting. The chaos in the sky reflects the chaos in his soul. And then he sees it in a flash of lightning.
A gigantic stature moving through the tree.
And he knows instantly. He knows it's his creation, and he knows his creation is the murderer.
The guilt must have been just crushing.
He calls himself the author of unalterable evils. He's unleashed this fiend on his own family, and the details are horrific. William was strangled. You can see the black mark of fingers on his neck.
So the first victim isn't some stranger. It's the most innocent member of his family. It's a direct attack.
It's a direct attack. And the horror just keeps compounding because when he finally gets home, he finds out who they've arrested.
Justine Moritz, a beloved family friend, practically a sister to Elizabeth.
An innocent person. The creature didn't just kill a child, he managed to perfectly frame someone else, ensuring the damage would be magnified.
Which sets up the absolute tragedy of Chapter 8, the trial.
Yeah, and the evidence against Justine seems damning to everyone else. They find the miniature portrait of Victor's mother, the one William was wearing, in her dress pocket.
How did it get there?
We find out later the creature planted it, but at the time it's a closed case. And Victor, he knows the truth. He's the only one who can save her. But he says nothing.
He's just paralyzed.
He's paralyzed. Watching this judicial system, he laments. He notes that all judges had rather that 10 innocent should suffer than that one guilty should escape. He's watching injustice happen, an injustice only he could prevent, and he's just silent, out of fear.
What happens when Elizabeth confronts Justine? That's such a heartbreaking scene.
It is. And Justine explains why she confessed to a crime she didn't commit. She was threatened by her confessor with eternal damnation.
So she was coerced.
Utterly. She chose to save her soul, in her view, at the cost of her life. She accepts her fate, believing she'll see William again in heaven. It's a devastating critique of how religious and social pressure can be just as monstrous as any creature.
And this is where those textual differences we talked about become so important. The framing of Justine. How does it differ between the 1818 and 1831 editions?
Okay, so in the original 1818 text, the creature's act of planting the locket feels more chaotic. It's an act of lashing out, born of confusion and rage after being rejected by society. It's malicious, but it feels almost impulsive.
But the later version changes that.
Drastically. In the 1831 revision, Shelley adds an internal monologue for the creature. As he's planting the evidence on Justine, he's thinking.
What does he think?
He thinks the crime had its source in her. Be hers the punishment. Thanks to the lessons of Felix and the sanguinary laws of man, I had learned now to work mischief.
Wow. That's a total game changer.
It is. It's not just a random act of rage anymore. He's actively using his knowledge of human injustice against them. He's learned how their systems work, and he's weaponizing their own cruelty.
So the 1831 creature is far more self-aware. He's not just a monster, he's a student of humanity's flaws.
A student and a manipulator. He is consciously mirroring the calculated cruelty of the society that rejected him. And it all comes back to Victor's silence.
His defining failure, He can't speak up because he's terrified they'll think he's insane.
Exactly. Who would believe a story about a giant corpse he reanimated? So he's tormented by this remorse, knowing he's the author of unalterable evils.
He even thinks about killing himself, right? Drowning himself in the lake.
He does. But what stops him is this twisted sense of responsibility. He thinks about Elizabeth and his brother Ernest, left exposed and unprotected to the malice of the fiend.
So in a strange way, his attempt to protect them is what guarantees Justine's death. His silence costs an innocent life.
That's the tragic irony. These 4 chapters just lay out this devastating cause and effect. Victor's abdication of responsibility leads to abandonment. The abandonment fuels the creature's rage, and that rage results in the deaths of William and Justine. Guilt isn't an idea anymore. It's the air Victor breathes.
And it's not over. He knows it's not over.
Not even close. Even as he's filled with this all-consuming hatred for the creature, he has this obscure feeling that all was not over. He knows the creature will be back.
He's convinced the fiend will commit some other signal crime, something even bigger. So we leave him here, trapped by his own secret, his own guilt.
Convinced he has to stay alive to protect his family, even though his silence has already led to the destruction of 2 innocent people connected to it.
Which leaves you with a question, doesn't it? After this catastrophe, after seeing what his silence has cost, what more will it take? What other calamities have to happen before Victor finally understands that the only way to protect anyone is to confront the monster he made?
These chapters took us from the creation scene to the first innocent deaths, and they also reveal one of the starkest contrasts between the 1818 and 1831 Frankenstein, how intentional the creature's actions appear. No matter which edition you're reading, Victor's silence at Justine's trial looks damning, but how we feel about the creature can change depending on the text in front of us. Next time, in chapters 9 through 12, we'll follow Victor into the mountains and hear the beginning of the creature's own story, again checking where the 2 editions line up and where the tone shifts. Thanks for listening to Chapter by Chapter Classics. If this episode helped you follow the story, follow the show in your podcast app so you don't miss the next chapter. And if you're enjoying this series, please take a moment to rate the podcast or leave a short review. It really helps other readers and students find the show.